False flag operation. These are the three words which come automatically to mind. And these are the words which even Prime Minister Imran Khan has been using. Even Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi has been, warning that there might be a false flag operation staged from India only to divert attention from the human rights abuse that are being committed by the Indian officials and the Indian state in occupied Kashmir. So we have to treat such claims with a lot of caution. And interestingly, this time around, it hasn't been easy for the Indian state to orchestrate another false flag operation because Pakistan has preempted any such attempts by continuously drawing attention to the fact that there has been a trend, if you look at the previous behavior under the Modi government especially, that whenever they want to deflect attention away, they are going to be making claims, or they usually tend to make claims of false flag operation. So I'm glad that Pakistan has already called their bluff in advance, but that does not mean that there might not be any risks of India staging a false flag operation. So one has to look at everything with a lot of circumspection. Now recently, there have been news in Indian media coming from Ravish Kumar as well, who is the spokesperson for the Ministry of External Affairs of India, that there is a terror threat in Gujarat state, or that in Sir Creek, which basically divides the Sindh province of Pakistan from the Gujarat state of India. There have been some abandoned boats which have been found in Sir Creek, which the Ministry of External Affairs of India has alerted might imply a terror threat emanating from the neighboring state. But that is not true because, like I've said, our foreign minister has been constantly alluding to the fact that Indian state has this habit of calling a false flag operation. All of this is calculated basically to deflect attention from the human rights abuse that are being committed in Indian occupied Kashmir. And let me also tell you that I've read this news on Live Mint, which is an Indian news source, and not once have they mentioned Pakistan in relation to any terror threat that might be looming in the Indian state of Kerala or Gujarat or these abandoned boats in Sir Creek. Live Mint has claimed that they are actually elements of the extremely dangerous internationally banned organization IS, which have been found in South India and who are also linked to the terror attacks in Sri Lanka earlier this year. And that is not me, a Pakistani, saying that. And this is not even claimed by Pakistani news sources. It's actually a very well-reputed organization in India, which is known as The Hindu. And The Hindu had reported months ago in April that there were links found with South India in relation to the attacks in Sri Lanka. So there is a terror threat in India, and that is from within, not from without. And that only highlights the fact that India has not done much to curb terror. They need to up their game. They cannot take this casual approach towards the terror threat. Now, coming to the fact that they are trying to deflect from or the human rights atrocities taking place in Indian occupied Kashmir, that is now beyond doubt. Just yesterday in Geneva, when the UN Human Rights Council had met up, Pakistan had issued a joint statement on behalf of 50 states regarding what the Indian state is doing in Kashmir, starting from the lockdown, acts of torture being committed there, which are well documented by the OHRHC. Michelle Bachelet herself, even Michelle Bachelet 2 days ago had made a statement to the effect that she is now calling upon India to stop the lockdown, the communications blackout in Indian occupied Kashmir. What they have done is an act of annexation. And let me also tell you that I was on an Indian news channel a few days ago, and one of the panelists had asked me that what about Pakistan's chances at ICJ, and I'm glad to inform you that Pakistan has a battery of legal arguments to support their claims that the Kashmir issue needs international resolution in accordance with UN Security Council resolutions, in accordance with international law. There are even previous precedents at the ICJ to the effect. For instance, in the 2004 Wall case, they had brought attention to the fact that any act of annexation is to be regarded as illegal under customary international law. There are Security Council resolutions, Security Council Resolution 497. The ICJ has already stated that if any state or if any power or occupying power tries to interfere with the international rights to self-determination of a people, that is a breach of an erga omnes obligation requiring the whole world to take collective action against such illegal acts. So whilst we are talking about having new UN Security Council resolutions coming out supporting Pakistan's claims, let me tell you that the international law exists already. The framework exists already. We already have so many Security Council resolutions and International Court of Justice's judgments to the effect that what India is doing requires collective action on part of the international community. Now, the framework I was talking about, the OHCHR has reported twice. There was a UN Human Rights Council report last year as well as this year confirming that there are egregious breaches of international human rights law and international humanitarian law taking place in Indian-occupied Kashmir. So now is the time for the UNHRC to act. Now is the time for even the Committee on Torture under the auspices of the Convention Against Torture to take action, because let me tell you, the enforcement of laws against acts of torture is not optional. Those laws are not optional. They are rules of jus cogens. Under customary international law, it is an obligation on the state that they cannot derogate from providing certain protections to human rights, and torture is something that you cannot inflict on anyone. These are non-derogable rights of the Kashmiri people, so the enforcement cannot be optional, must not be optional. These are areas of international law which the international community and the enforcement machinery at the disposal of the United Nations need to review once again. Now that there are also news rampant about Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister, talking about in his election campaign that he is going to annex more Palestinian territories. There are Security Council resolutions on that as well. This matter has been taken up by the International Criminal Court as well. So now that we have, these battery of laws supporting claims of self-determination from Palestine, to the Rohingya population, to, of course, Indian-occupied Kashmir, now is the time for the international community to sit up, take notice, and not just take notice, but to act. But let me tell you that these attempts at calling off, false flag operations on part of the Indian state are not going to work because the world is watching. I've just mentioned there are reports from the UN Human Rights Council, the Genocide Watch. They have called a genocide alert already, Amnesty International, you name it, there are political prisoners that have been taken up. There are acts of annexation, ethnic cleansing, genocide taking place in Indian-occupied Kashmir, and the United Nations was formed to fight off the horrors which had taken place prior to its formation under the Nazi regime. We do not want we do not want to be drawn in that situation again. We do not want a world where Nazism is taken casually. We have to stand up against such fascism.
We're really excited to share fantastic content with you
on all the fun topics.
Please subscribe to our channel by
clicking on the subscribe button below.